Hello and welcome, my dear students. Once again, this is your friend, philosopher, guide, and mentor, Prabhat Sharma, with you, and we are discussing lesson 6, the making of a scientist. Some boys had a query why I have not taught lesson 3 and 4. Lesson 3 and 4 are not in our course, as I had notified earlier, and I have already informed you. Lesson 3 from our supplementary reader, Footprints Without Feet, The Midnight Visitor, and lesson 4 from the same book, A Question of Trust, are not in the course for this year. Okay, they have been deleted, removed from the course. Please check if you want. So, guys, we continue with The Making of a Scientist by Robert W. Peterson. So, initially, we'll begin with Ebright's achievement at young age. A former Scout of the Year excited the scientific world with his new theory. This he did at the age of 22 years. It was on how cells work. Richard at Ebright and his college roommate explained the theory in an article. It was titled Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. It was his first achievement. It started with butterflies. Now, the story begins when Ebright as a child. Ebright was only child. He was the only child of his parents. इकलौता लड़का था. They lived in north of Reading, Pennsylvania. Albright wrote that there was nothing to do. He could not play football or baseball, but he could collect things. कोई था नहीं इसके साथ. As a collector of things, what happens? Let us see now. So Albright started collecting butterflies in kindergarten. He also collected rocks, fossils, and coins. He also became a stargazer and an eager astronomer. His mother always encouraged him. She took him on trips. She also bought him telescope, microscope, camera and other equipment. माता जी ने बहुत सपोर्ट किया भाई. So we'll come to know in the next paragraph about Ebright and his mother. So Ebright sold his article at 15 to a scientific journal. It was like a home run scored in a game of baseball. Ebright's mother said that she was his friend until he started school. She would bring him home friends for him. He was her whole life when after her husband's death, Richie was in third grade then. तो तीसरी कक्षा में थे हमारे रिचर्ड एब्राइट जब उनके पिताजी की डेथ हो गई थी, इसलिए माताजी ही सारा उनका ध्यान रखती थी. शी यूज्ड टू टेक केयर ऑफ this young scientist, Richard Ebright. Now, in the coming lines, we will come to know about Ebright's collection. Ebright's mother would find work for Richie if he had nothing to do. It was for learning. He wanted to learn. He earned top grades in the school. When he was in second grade, he had collected 25 species of butterflies. Can you imagine? These were found around his hometown. आगे हम पढ़ेंगे कि कैसे एब्राइट को बुक मिली. How Ebright gets a book, that book which changes his life forever. So then Ebright's mother gave him a children's book. It was The Travels of Monarch X. क्या नाम था किताब का? ट्रैवल्स ऑफ मोनार्क एक्स. It told how monarch butterflies migrate to Central America. This opened the world of science to a bright. देखिए अब वो टैगिंग करेगा बटरफ्लाइज की. So let us see how the tagging of the butterfly takes place. At the end of the book, readers were invited to help study butterfly migrations. They were asked to tag butterflies for research. It was being done by Dr. Frederick A. Urquhart of Toronto University, Canada. Albright started tagging monarch butterflies. Anyone who found a butterfly or a tagged butterfly was asked to send a tag to Dr. Urquhart. Now, this Bright also, hero Richard Bright, the young scientist, also rears the butterflies. Let us see what. The butterfly collecting season around reading lasts 6 weeks in late summer. Chasing them one by one won't enable one to catch many. So Ebright raised a flock of the butterflies. He would catch a female monarch and take her eggs. He would raise them in his basement from egg to adult butterfly. Then he would tag the butterflies' wings and let them go. But soon we will see that how he's going to lose the interest. Soon Ebright began to lose interest in tagging butterflies. The reason was that there was no feedback. Only 2 butterflies had been caught, and their distance was not more than 75 miles from where he lived. Now he decides to do some real experiments. Let us see what are the real experiments he is wanting to do. So in 7th grade, Ebright got a hint of what real science is. He entered a country science fair and lost. His entries were slides of frog tissues. He realized the winners had tried to do real experiments. So he also decided to do a real experiment. The subject was the insect work that he had already been doing. So he writes to Dr. Urquhart. So he wrote to Dr. Urquhart for ideas, back many suggestions for experiments. These kept Ebright busy all through high school. These also led him to prize projects in country and international science fairs. After all, the research pays off. His research wins. For his 8th grade project, Ebright tried to find the cause of a viral disease. It killed all monarch, the caterpillars. He thought the disease might be carried by a beetle. He tried raising caterpillars in the presence of beetles, but he didn't get any real results. But he showed his experiment and he won the prize, first prize. Now he has made some theory on butterflies. Let us see what the theory is. The next year, his science fair project was testing the theory. The theory was that viceroy butterflies copy monarchs. The theory was that viceroys look like monarchs because monarchs don't taste good to birds. Viceroys taste good to birds. So the more they look like monarchs, the less likely they are to become a bird's food. His project was to see if birds would eat monarchs. Quite amazing and surprising. Now his project wins the prize. He found that a starling would not eat ordinary bird food. It would eat all the monarchs if it would get. The project was placed first in the zoology division. It came third overall in the country science fair. So he comes up with a new theory, and let's just see what the new theory now is. In his first year in high school, Ebrard began the research. It led to his discovery of an unknown insect hormone. Indirectly, it led to his new theory on the life of cells. Okay, कोशिकाओं के लिए much difficult for you. So now about gold spot on butterflies. The question he tried to answer was simple. What is the purpose of 12 tiny gold spots on a monarch butter pupa? Everyone assumed the spots were just ornamental, but Dr. Urquhart didn't believe it. Let us see what Dr. Urquhart has to say. About the hormone. There was something about the hormone. Okay, let us see about the hormone. To find the answer, Ebrard and another student built a device. It showed that the spots were producing a hormone. It was necessary for the butterfly's full development. This project won Ebrard first place in the country fair. It also won an entry into the International Science and Engineering Fair. There he won third place for zoology. He also got a chance to work in Walter Reed Army Institute of Research, where he continues advanced experiments. As a high school junior, he continued his advanced experiments on a monarch pupa. That year, his project won first place at the International Science Fair. Now let us see about the importance of cells. Cells की महानता महत्वता कोशिकाओं की महत्वता. In his senior year, he grew cells from a monarch's wings in a culture. He showed that the cells would divide and develop into normal butterfly wing scales. This would be only if they were fed the hormone from the gold spots. That project won first place for zoology at the International Fair. He also worked at the Army lab and at the US Department of Agriculture's lab. There he identifies the hormone. Let us see. The following summer, Ebrard went back to the Department of Agriculture's lab. There he worked on hormone theory. Finally, he was able to identify the hormone chemical structures. Now let us see about DNA. DNA के बारे में क्या जानते हैं? A year and a half later, Ebrard got the idea for his new theory about cell life. He did so while seeing the X-ray photos of his chemical structure. The photos gave him the answer to one of the biology's puzzles. It was how the cell can read the blueprint of its DNA. What's DNA? DNA is the substance in the nucleus of a cell that controls heredity. Actually, it is the blueprint for life. Now he's writing a paper about the experiment, what he has done. Ebrard and his college roommate, James R. Wang, drew pictures and constructed plastic models. They made them to show how it could happen. Together, they later wrote the paper explaining the theory. Now they have to do the testing of the theory also. Let's wait for that. Surprisingly, Richard Ebrard graduated from Harvard with highest honors. He also became a graduate student researcher at Harvard Medical School. There he began experimenting to test his theory. Let us see what are the advantages of this theory now. So the theory proves correct. It will be a big step towards understanding life processes. It might also lead to new ideas. This would be a new for preventing types of cancer and other diseases. Last but not the least, let us see about Ebright's other interests also. So Ebright has other interests also. He became a champion debater and a public speaker. He also became a good canoeist and an all round outdoor person. He is also an expert photographer of nature and scientific exhibits. Towards the end, we'll come to know about Ebright and his teacher. Ebright also found someone to admire. He was Richard A. Verera, his social studies teacher. Ebright said about him that he opened his mind to new ideas. Richard Verrer also spoke highly of Ebright about his interests, even because he wanted to do the best job. So चीज़ें जो वैज्ञानिक बनाती है things what which make a scientist. These things are necessity in the making of scientists. Start with a first-rate mind. Okay, उत्तम दिमाग से कार्य प्रारंभ करो. At curiosity, उत्सुकता डालो. And mix in the will to win for the right reasons. सही कारणों के लिए जीतने की इच्छा शक्ति मिलाओ. Ebright had all these qualities. Ebright के अंदर ये सारे गुण